Hey y'all, so I've got to record this kind of quickly because I am losing light, but I went on a little bit of a journey and I wanted to bring y'all with me on that journey. It's just a walk, a very cute little walk, exploring the Elizabeth Freeman, like the street that she lived on, and visiting her gravesite. If you are unsure who Elizabeth Freeman is, I will try my best to summarize her story a little bit quickly here. Elizabeth Freeman was born 50 something. I will put the correct date right here so you'll be able to see it there. She was born enslaved and then given to Colonel Ashley.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Go to the church and ask God to forgive you.
I don't really want to get into him all that much. It's like he's a little important, but like for the purposes of the story is about her. It is not about him. However, he was one of the authors of the Sheffield Accords. The Sheffield Accords are very, very similar to a thing you might be familiar with called the Declaration of Independence. So right around that good old year, 1776, or, a little bit after that, when America declared itself to be its own country, we formed that lovely document that said all men are free and equal, despite the fact that for some reason in the Constitution we didn't immediately apply that to black people. Like that just was not a thing that we applied to people of color. So, however, this woman, Elizabeth Freeman, heard about that and was like, okay, so if all of us are born free and equal, then doesn't that also include me?
And that's on period.
And with that question, she went to Theodore Sedgwick, who was a abolitionist and a lawyer, whose offices I believe were in Great Barrington. I might be wrong on that. She asked him to help her win her freedom. So she and a dude named Brom, who is important to the story in that he is also on the case, but he is not. We don't have any information about that man. So she sued for her freedom, and she won. She was I believe, one of the first people, if not the first woman, to successfully sue for her freedom and to win, after America became a country. So that's super cool. Obviously, that is a super cool thing, particularly because that happened, I believe, in it's either 1781 or 1791. I do not remember. Again, I will put the date up right there. And that happened in the town that I was born and raised in, which is Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Her story has always meant a lot to me because, amongst other things, she also, there's a particularly well-known story that for reasons of, I guess, demonetization, I won't really go into right now, but there's a reason and a historical story reason that she is the name of our local domestic violence shelter, which is called the Elizabeth Freeman Center. I've linked them down below if you would like to learn more about them and what they do and what work they fund. I love their work a lot. I am pleased to and to know that they're in the area and that they use her name. And that makes me really happy. Of all the figures they could have chosen, that they choose her makes a lot of sense for various reasons. And the fact that she represents freedom to a lot of people in the area. It is also worth noting that her case being one of the first ones of its kind, well, the first successful one of its kind, given that her case is very unique in that way, it was also there was an attempt at an appeal, and the guy lost. Colonel Ashley lost that appeal. Now, I don't know if you know how that works vaguely in this country, but when you appeal something up to a higher court, it has the potential to become just like, I forgot what the word is. There's a specific word for that type of law, and it is this word right here. I'm going to look it up later and I'm going to put it right there. That particular thing is what happened here, where not only did she free herself, she wound up effectively ending slavery on a constitutional level in the state of Massachusetts in, like, I believe, again, it was 1793 at that point. Super big deal. Huge deal. This is why she is one of my favorite heroes, like, if not, in fact, my favorite historical figure. Her story really does mean a lot to me. But more importantly than just, what her story in general means to me, it also is how we have the record of her story, which is that it was written down by Catherine Maria Sedgwick. You can find that, and you can literally read that at this place. You can read the entire thing yourself if you would like. It's all right there. And it fully tracks Elizabeth Freeman's history in a way that I think is honestly quite beautiful. That is also where you will find the story. So I will give a slight content warning for assault, basically, for a victim of assault. So just be warned there. But in addition to that, the Stockbridge Historical Society also provided me with information about where she lived, and the records of the land that she wound up owning. The record comes from 1815, which was 5 years before she passed away. And that record shows that she owned a not insignificant amount of land. And that land is what I'm going to show you in the video clips following this one, where I go on a walk down the street where she lived. My purpose in doing so is to show you just what the land currently looks like, what the walk itself currently looks like. You will also notice that there are people that walk sort of along the road already. There are people who do that already. I wanted to point out also just some historical facts about that area, about that neighborhood. So I hope you enjoy learning about all that, and I hope you enjoy hearing my thoughts as I go on that little walk. I will note that I do not have a script for this section, and I did not have a script while I was talking. There is a chance that I might have gotten some of the facts wrong. I will try to correct myself if I did, but most of these facts are pretty decently well known. And I will also show you clips of me visiting her gravesite, which is also in Stockbridge. This time I got emotional because there was something I realized this time that I hadn't realized before, in terms of like who she is placed directly next to, or rather who chose to be buried directly next to her in a way that I thought was genuinely really sweet. So I'm going to show you guys those clips right now. Okay, so I promised this video a little bit yesterday, then obviously things happened and I wasn't able to make it. So I'm making it now. So where I'm walking right here, you can kind of a little bit see it behind me over there, or I can point ahead a little bit over there. This side of the street over here on my side this way, this is where Elizabeth Freeman lived. I don't think this house, well, this house wasn't hers necessarily, that one right there wasn't, nor necessarily were any of the houses that currently appear here, but I think one of the cool things, you can kind of see it through there, is that there is a trailer over there with like an old wooden house, but you can kind of see where like parts of this land were like developed a little bit. Oop, not a car coming, oh my god. Yeah, but yeah, this is the place, this is part of it right here. It's a really beautiful like street, like genuinely it's one of the nicer streets in this area. It's very quiet. Also on the opposite side you can look and see there's like mansions and shit. Like that is a really big house. The scale here is not like really showing it off, but that house back there, that white one, is giant. Like that is like, that's easily a 3-star house, and then it's got like a patio on the roof. Like, girl. Anyway, but over here you can kind of see that like there's a lot of land, but there's like also not much on the land, but there is a lot of land here, and there are people who live here, which I think is really cool. I also like that this person here, whose house I'm coming up on, so I'm not gonna like show it, but like they have a garden, and I think that that's very much in spirit of what this land Whoop. Okay, so for part 2. So, yeah, you can kind of, like, I like that this person has, like, a little garden. Because, like, again, like I was saying earlier, that's in spirit of keeping with what this land would have been used for her. For the, just for the time that she lived here. Again, I'm gonna try to not show this little section right here because someone lives here actively right now. Drives a Subaru Forester, good for them. Later, I only say that because I was looking for a Subaru and I was looking for a car and I could not find one. Because they are cars that don't die, apparently. But, yeah. So, I'm about, I would say 3 minutes into this walk. It's not a long walk per se, but, like, I feel like the thing that I want to clarify about the fact that she lived on this land is that, like, all of this side of the street that I'm walking along was owned by her. You can see, like, again, how far I've come and how much land this is. And there's a little bit of water down that way. You can't really see it, and I can't really show it to you, but there's like a sort of mini waterfront over there. It's more of a swamp, if I'm being real with you. Apparently, actually, according to local history, it was known as a Negro swamp or N-word swamp. Well, I said slavery ended. I didn't say racism did. So that was the name of that little swamp area over there. And I believe now it is slur for Native American woman swamp, which is not better. That is not better by any stretch of the imagination, but like actually just as bad. We actually really recently just the town adjacent to this one had a thing named after that as well, because I don't know if you can see it over there up in the mountains up there. That mountain there is called Monument Mountain, and one of the places was Slur for Native American Woman Peak. That was a specific part of that mountain. There was a street named after it, and they renamed it, I believe, just to Mountainside Road or something. Like, I don't know, like something obviously less inflammatory. But you can see right here up there, there's a bend in the road, and that is where the sort of end of where her property is. But you can kind of see, like, back there a bit, like, sort of, if you look past where that sort of tree line is there, like just past that is sort of where the swamp begins. As we go a little bit further and I get to the end of the street, you'll much easier be able to see it. But yeah, like, and honestly, when I get to the end, the other reason I'm going to pause there is so I can show you where I think the monument should be. If there was going to be a monument at all, it should be there. And I'll tell you why in a second. But basically, like, from that point there, that last house, which yard ends right here, there's this whole, or sorry, the yard ends literally right here. There's a little path here for them. The yard ends, like, right after this little, like, there's a little drain pipe right here, and that's where it ends. And then the rest of this, to my knowledge, is just simply unowned. It is unowned land, which means that it's not a whole hell of a lot going on. Basically, what happened in this area is that the swamp sort of moved inward a little bit. Radio. So, yeah, still continuing. Ooh, I'm joined by another walker a little bit ahead. But, yeah, honestly, like, this little section road is really pretty. I just think it's beautiful. But, like, this is it looks like there was something there. There's, like, a lot of stone in a very interesting way. I don't really know how to, like, visualize, how to show you all that. It's, like, directly in the center there. I don't know, just found it interesting. Something interesting there. But anyway, but yeah, this is the road. This is the road. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, this is the road. I like this little road. This road is very cute. This road is very sweet. It is also a little bit of a rich road. Another fact about this land is that the land sort of up that way, a little bit where that house is, was owned by, oh God, I forgot who that was owned by, but it was owned by, I believe the land up there was owned by another black family. And then the land back there was owned by Agrippa Hull, I believe. Agrippa Hull owned like several areas of land at one point. And I would venture to guess that the Hulls lived over there because currently a Hull related company is also over there. Anyway, so I more or less was just pointing out the fact that like the land over here is a little bit on the empty side. As you can see, there's just like so you can see here along this little section of road here, there's a part where it just sort of comes down and is like this, just a lot of ground that has been functionally fallow for a while. To my knowledge, this land is never like actually used for anything, though this bit here seems to have been paved, or not paved, but like cared for a little. Oh, this is interesting. Look at this little sign here, that says that this land was for sale from William Pitt. So that sign was up over here a little bit ago. Currently what that means is that this land is not currently actually owned by anybody. And given that this right here, this tree basically right here, marks the sort of end of where her land is. Like she owned from here to the end of the street that I was previously on, where I started my walk. That's the amount of land that she owned, and that's where her land was. All I am requesting, and all I would actually want, would be for her land to be recognized, for her home to be recognized in some way. And where I'm thinking is like right there at the little edge right there. And the reason I'm suggesting there is, one, because this area right here is not currently owned by anyone. That little section of like thing right there, having a poster or even just a stone that has it written on it that this is where she chose to live, that is the thing that I would like. Also, by the way, the Hull gas company is, so yeah, that's why this is the place. This is where I think it should be. Oh, actually, no, that's Demolino and Sons. Oops, just kidding. Anyway, but yeah, to my current knowledge, I'll check the records. I'll check the recent records, because the literal same document that they gave to me about that, like, helped me realize that Elizabeth Freeman owned this land, like in her like 60s at that point, which is fucking crazy to me. I mean, not crazy. It's like, it's wild to me that she owned a section of land during a time period where that was like not a thing that was like done, like where black women were not sort of allowed to do that. So it's wild to me that like it is not a more recognized thing than just her own headstone that family had to pay for, that is in that little graveyard over there. It's a beautiful graveyard, as an aside. I will be making another little section of this video going over there and spending a small bit of time there. But also, I figured it would be nice to put it right there, because right here on the side of the road, you could easily pave it ever so slightly, make a nice little parking area. Make a nice little parking area right there so that people can walk up to like right here and look at the item. Like, just look at it and like look at the little thing. Honestly, if I'm being completely real, this is where I would have put her statue, right there. I would have put it right there rather than in the middle of the town that she was enslaved in. As much as like I understand the point and the reasoning behind why we decided to put it there, that's the wrong town. Like, that is fundamentally the wrong town to have put her in. To put, like, any memorial of her. That is the wrong town. We changed the name of that street in Great Barrington. That made a little bit of sense. I would have rather the statue, I mean, if I'm being real, like, the statue where the courthouse would have been, like, or used to be, that would make sense to me as well. However, Great Barrington, while we have the claim to, like, that being the moment where, that being the place where her freedom was actually won, while we have that claim, it is more important to me to know, like, where she chose to live, like, where she chose to be, because that is, like, the choice that those are the choices that she made with her freedom. And we know where those choices are. We've held on to that record for like 100 and like, or like over 100 and like 95 years. Like, that record is there. It's from 1815, and like, we just have that. So we know where her land was. And also, it's wild to me that the streets have remained the same that long, but like, that's just a separate thought process to me. Like, before we could even pave a road, like, we had like lines and signs of where the roads were, and they have not moved or changed since then. And that's kind of crazy. But that particular road, like, being it being this entire section of road, this whole thing over here, this is where she chose to be. This is where she chose to live, which is amazing. That is awesome. That is so cool. And it deserves to be recognized. It deserves to be special. And that in particular is the memory that I would rather I would rather have a memorial to her here, because that shows to, as far as I'm concerned, that shows her spirit, that we cared about what she actually chose, more so than her enslavement. We care more about what she chose to me. And in my mind, it shows to her spirit that we cared about what she did after she was enslaved, that we care about her autonomy, that we care about the choices that she made. That's why I think it is important that there be something of recognition right here. It's also not that hard. Like, there's room right there. You see, it is empty. There is nothing here. And there could be something. Even, like, but also, like, I understand we already just put up a statue. Putting up another one is difficult. Putting up another one is complicated. I'm gonna start walking back because I'm getting tired. But, not my, oh my God. Of course, my lighting got bad on my face at that point. But, yeah, but like, putting it right there is not going to distract from this being here. It's not going to distract from anything that's over here. It's not going to ruin someone's land, arguably. Or arguably, you could put something even right here, like slightly inward to where her land was, and just like right here, where it is a little bit flatter. I don't know. I don't know, but it feels important to me that that is there. I will also say it is odd that, like, we also don't recognize Theodore Sedgwick, like, in any way. Like, their house wasn't preserved and doesn't have a historical marker on it. Like, it's weird. What it feels like to me when we don't acknowledge the abolitionists, but we will acknowledge the, like, warmongers, people who owned slaves, all of these things. We still have a town named after a person who owned slaves. Like, when we honor those people and we do not honor the people who fought for freedom, it shows me that the people currently do not feel like that freedom is a thing that we should have. I figured I would stop here briefly at the Mission House, which is this, this building right here. But the gardens are open to the public, and I like this. I don't know. I felt like pausing and shouting that out while I'm on my walk. I'm going to keep going. I still have to get to the cemetery, but I thought this was pretty cool, pretty nifty. Anyway, it also, people always, not people always ask me this, but when people do ask me this, they ask me if I know what land I'm on. And I do, and it's because I have things like this that I'm able to know and able to understand a little bit who was here before I was, who walked these lands and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. It's also cool that they're here. It is also a group that I want to do more partnering with in the future, just as a group in the area. This is with that little bit of information. There's this here, which is the what is that called? Yeah, this little bit here. It's closed right now. From September to November, it is open. It's open until 4. I don't know what their hours are going to be for this year. Hopefully they open back up pretty soon, so I can stop in and say hello, because I'm very curious what all goes on in there. Anyway, but also I don't want to trespass, but it does seem like if there are hours, it would be cool to meet them and talk to them, because I don't think that's a thing it is an opportunity that I don't know. It's an opportunity thing, like when the opportunity is made, if you don't take it, you don't know how long that opportunity will be around. And that is the reason that I would like to take them up on the offer of, seeing what all is there. Or some old other houses. That one has a little blue label on it over there. You can see it right over there. Stockbridge is a little interesting town. Again, lots of history. It's a very history-heavy town. But I find it fascinating. I don't particularly spend a lot of time in this town, but when I do, it's typically to go to one of 5 places. But this town also has the air of being very touristy, because it is, let's be honest. And it being touristy is really, I don't know how else to put it, but it being touristy is the reason I'm not, the most colossal fan of, spending time here, but it is a town that is here and exists. I also love that I'm getting a little winded and I'm supposed to run a 5K in 2 months. Girl, who the fuck am I trying to kid? Child. I mean, I'm going to do the 5K, but Jesus Christ. Ugh. Anyway, walking to historical places is a great way to start building up and getting ready for that. Damn, my skin is shiny. Jesus. Ooh, okay. Ooh, also Dolphin Studio. I forgot what they do. They're here. Oh, I think that's an art studio. It's very pretty. I like their logo a lot. Anyway, I'm not going to linger too long. You can see the edge of the cemetery right there. I'll pick up when I'm in the actual cemetery. See y'all there. Oh, that's another thing. You can see a really pretty section of land over there. But yeah, you can learn a lot in the cemetery by just looking at the names and looking at familiar names and seeing who in that family is still around. It's a thing that I think is very unique to small towns. I don't know if that's fully true, but I've lived in a small town my whole life and I find it helpful. It helps you learn what families are here and what families are no longer here. And the relative wealth that family has had or maybe no longer has. Also, side note, I love a mausoleum. I love a mausoleum. This one says, I know that my Redeemer liveth, which is interesting. Just a fascinating thing. It's weird being in... Okay, so actually, this is interesting, because technically over there is a church. The church is across the street. However, this is technically I believe this is considered a cemetery and not a graveyard. So, fun fact for y'all out there, if you are confused as to what the difference is between a cemetery and a graveyard, it is the word yard, and the fact that a cemetery is not attached to a large standing church or religious entity. It is just a burial area. Anyway, things that you learn when you are a morbid little child. I was more than a morbid child. I'm a morbid adult too. No, but I do do love a cemetery. I love just the drama of walking through a cemetery. There's just something about it that is very dramatic, very high-key my tea. Like, that's just a thing. If y'all need to learn something about me, learn this, that I love walking through a cemetery in a dramatic gown. I just haven't done it for a while. Okay, so you can also tell that other people have walked here a lot, and dogs and things. The cemetery winds up being used a bit like a park a lot, which, I don't feel the best about that, but it is fascinating. Anyway, so this here says she was a Christian without humble, without manners, charitable without ostentation, proud without bigotry. Ooh, that's a beautiful one. This monument was erected in her memory by an affectionate husband. Oh, that's really sweet. I like that one. Yeah, some of these stones are like absolutely gorgeous. Ebenezer Watson. Ooh, Jesus, what a name. And the shape of it is really pretty. It has been broken once before. I don't particularly know why. This is Frances Watson, who was the wife of Ebenezer Watson and the daughter of Theodore Sedgwick, which is fascinating. And so one of the things I like about these is that I've never actually quite understood this about graveyards, but I think this is sort of the marker of like where like the feet were a little bit, like where the end of the grave is, which I kind of like that exists, because I don't particularly like stepping over a grave. That always feels weird to me, but anyway, that's just fascinating. There's another smaller Sedgwick one over here. I can't personally read that one. I do not know what it says, but I know that it says Sedgwick. But yeah, you can kind of tell a little bit what it says when you're like on the side. I don't think y'all can tell because this is a camera on an iPhone. But we are getting to it. We are getting to it, dear ones. We are here. We are at the Elizabeth Freeman, known by the name of Mumbett. Died December 2nd, or is it December 20? I believe that says December 28th. It's December 28th of 1820. Her supposed age was 85 years. She was born a slave, and lived as a slave for years until for nearly 30 years. She could not have been. It's difficult to read, but this is why I'm so glad that what her stone said has been taken down for years, so we know what it says. But the thing that is most important to me is that people still honor her. Again, stepping around the grave. A plant was buried right over her grave in the very front section. I believe it has since died, but it was there. But you can see all of the cowrie shells, the rocks and stones imbued with thought and well wishes toward this lovely woman, and the fact that that is still here and people still honor her like this, because rocks and things fall off all the time. That is a thing that happens constantly. But the fact that those things still remain, none of those rocks are ones that I have left, but I have left rocks here before. But you can see all of these, and I just think it's fascinating. And people have stood here recently since the last snow. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. General update for the channel. The second video in the series of recapping all of Charmed is coming. I have watched, at this point, about a third of the season. already, again, previously watched the entire show, but like currently in this rewatch, I'm a third of the way through the season. It's been a busy couple months, and that is only continuing, darling. But I have part of the script written, and I've mentioned this before. I film in stages, like stages of just when I'm able to film it. So hopefully I will be filming it filming that first part either today or tomorrow. The format is going to be slightly different. It is going to be a little bit more of a talking head type of deal. A little bit more of a talking head type of deal, where the camera behind me is going to capture something a little bit different. I don't know. That's not the point of this video. Anyway, I just wanted to get that little summary of her story across. If you want to learn more, there are several books that you can read. One of them that I recommend, this one is a kid's book, is this book right here. This is Mumbett's Declaration of Independence. It is currently flipped because I forgot that that's how my camera works. Anyway, so this one, check this out. You can find this one on Amazon. I will be donating that book to a queer book thing shortly, because I think her story is important to have and important to know. And also, one of the other reasons that I made this video, like I said in the clips prior, is I want you guys to understand that it is important to recognize her story. It is important to recognize this woman for all the work that she has done, and it's important to recognize her in a way that honors the choices that she made and the lives that she impacted, and also the place where she chose to live, where she chose to spend out the rest of her days, rather than honor the place where she was enslaved, where she suffered the worst experiences of her life. Rather than do all of that there, it would be much better to recognize her in the place that she called home and the place where she was with her family. That's the place that is more important for us to recognize her. Great Barrington has done a bit of recognition. We renamed a street after her, or rather co-named a street after her. And that street is where the courthouse used to be, and now is where our town hall is. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty nifty. That's a pretty good start. That is where she won her freedom, after all. So that's pretty good. But there's always more that we can do and more that we should do to recognize this wonderful and amazing woman. So here's hoping that the people who see this video, if it's local people that wind up seeing this video, here's hoping that you feel so inspired to try to do something, to try to set something up. I don't know necessarily what we should set up or how to do that, but I think we should. I think it's about time. Okay, that will do it for me, everyone. I will talk to you all in the next one. Be well, do as much good work as you possibly can for the world and also yourself. And of course, stay safe out there. Oh my god, hey! I almost forgot to say, please, 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 if you enjoyed this video, please, if you can, support me on Patreon. If not, you can also just follow me on socials. Click like on this video if you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment. Just tell me something cool that you learned, or tell me about a cool historical figure in the area that you live in. Tell me about your favorite historical figure. I would personally love that. Okay, and with that out of the way, I will talk to you soon. Be well, and farewell. Mwah.